Hello everyone, this is Shadow333, and once again, like last year, I'm going to be doing a special stream for Remembrance Day. As it is Remembrance Day today in Canada, and it's actually, I believe it's all Commonwealth nations celebrated, but Canada, we definitely do. So, in honor of that, I'm, like last year with Red Baron, and showcasing how the air war went, and kind of trying to get you viewers an idea of, at least as much as video games can simulate, of what it was like to be a soldier in the Air Force and the Royal Air Force, and going from there. Today I'm going to showcase a mod for Company of Heroes, which basically does the same thing for ground warfare, except obviously as a real-time strategy game from a more top-down perspective. So what it was like all in the ground warfare, not just from soldiers' perspective, but from a commander's perspective. Well, abstracted out, but basically the overall way the war went. Now, this is set later on in the war, so the tactics are more squad-based. They aren't quite the mass charges and trench warfare that are typically associated with World War I. I mean, those can still exist. You can still build enough units that those happen, and trenches are still a mechanic in the game, but it's not quite the way that you'd expect. A lot of the stuff that you'd expect to see from that's already been built. There's actually quite a few trenches on the map already, so a lot of typical World War I elements, a lot of things that people associate with World War I era battlefields, they're kind of already there, but this is near the tail end of the war. So anyway, I'm just going to go on and play a skirmish match against a computer. There aren't, I don't know as many players playing multiplayer, but it's easy enough to just get it against the computer and do it in the Flanders Fields map, since being Remembrance Day, that is the most appropriate map, as that is the map, well, that is the place, Flanders Fields, where essentially a lot of the iconography of Remembrance Day comes from. The poppy in particular is, at least apocryphally, to do with poppies growing on the graves of soldiers buried in Flanders in Belgium. So it seems like it is the most appropriate thing to use as the showcase map. I'm just going to be doing one-on-one, not going to bother with having teams. Just me and a computer, just sort of, like I said, the idea is to show more directly what it's like, at least at the tail end of the war. Although, to be honest, a lot of the way that the game tends to progress feels like the whole war in microcosm. I mean, not quite so much the mass charges of 1914, but still much later, and then you kind of get entrenched as you set your lines. Also, this is going to be Company of Heroes' typical victory point mode, since I've tried some of the other modes that are available for victory conditions, and they take really long time. Which, admittedly, kind of was just way too long. It's very, very problematic to try to do, so let's just... I've only been playing this for a few hours, and I'm not super experienced with the Company of Heroes, so if you notice that I'm doing stuff that's completely wrong, I mean, bear in mind, this is of course not Company of Heroes, this is just a mod for it. Uses the engine, but it's based around World War I, not World War II, as Company of Heroes is. So it's not going to be quite the same. By the way, in case you're wondering, I build a scout command post because then that's what allows for entrenchment. Trenches require the scout command post to be built themselves. And they are really handy. They're much more useful in the mid-game once you start gaining the victory points, like, you know, setting them up so that they cross over, protect the victory points. But yeah, they are still very important. Even this late in the war, it seems, at least as far as this game demonstrates, as far as it simulates, they are still fairly important. And another thing I noticed is very important is the use of commanders. I'm not really sure how much this comes up in Company of Heroes, but definitely in this one. Having commanders, having lieutenants alongside your force, having, I guess, commissioned officers would be. They are extremely useful. You pretty much need to have them if you want to have any of your squads do any good at all. Which is fairly interesting. I mean, it's definitely a thing. This is still a time before, actually around the time when people started to, or when militaries started to really inform the troops what was going on in a battle plan. It wasn't just the troops are sent out and they just follow orders blindly. It was a bit more a maneuver to the or a bit more move to the modern war style, where all the soldiers kind of have an idea of what's going on. It was something that actually kind of started in World War I. It was something that Canadian General Arthur Currie was famous for doing in the Battle of Vimy Ridge, which actually, if you're playing this, the shock infantry tactic allows you to basically get all the things that made Vimy Ridge work. Or rather, made General Curry's approach to Vimy Ridge work. And in case you're wondering, that is I bring it up because I'm Canadian. Vimy Ridge is kind of a point of national pride. So, yeah, it was the amount of people that didn't die as a result of good tactics, which at the time were kind of novel when considering from a Napoleonic perspective, how people just did mass charges with like, ranks of infantry without really considering too much smaller scale tactics and too much of that the units could actually do stuff, that they were actually intelligent people. It was, I mean, bear in mind, this is still aristocratic. This is still very classist. We're still talking about a society where a lot of the soldiers are not, well, they're kind of uneducated. There's this sense that, you know, you have your officer class, which is, you know, the upper class, the aristocrats, and then you have the soldiery, which are just common people. They're basically not quite peasants, because this is still an industrial society, but they're the working class. And so you need to have the officers as a way to keep the working class soldiers in line and keep them well commanded. But the idea that you could actually tell the working class soldiers, you could tell those soldiers, okay, this is what we're planning on doing, and then execute that plan with everyone top to bottom knowing what's going on, that was novel. It's no longer novel now, but it was novel then. And, of course, being that this is still Company of Heroes, I mean, just in general, this is still a very battleground-oriented game. Want to make sure to block off areas that the enemy can move through. Block off the maneuvering. As I mentioned earlier, I found it does tend to devolve into trench warfare sooner or later. Like, you eventually do get into the situation where everything does go down to the trenches. That's just how it goes. Okay, I wanted to get ammunition dump. Get my tech up fairly quickly. Need ammunition dumps to continue teching up, so it's very important to have. Alright, so at least that's been sorted. I want to build a machine gun nest once I get enough fuel, I'll probably want to do that. Actually, you know what? You get fuel first and then go get the territory. I'm expanding a bit more slowly than I generally would, but kind of want to play it a bit safer this time around. Let's see, what else can I say about World War I history? Oh yeah! Chemical gas! We'll get to that. We'll get to that for sure. That's actually not really... I don't know, the representation of chemical gas, I find, doesn't really seem to evoke the terror that chemical gas, that chemical weapons... there's a reason why chemical weapons are banned. World War I is a huge part of the reason why you don't see, or it's basically trees against the use of chemical weapons in combat. It's because the use of chlorine gas and artillery in World War I is one of the big reasons. There's lots of reasons for it, but it was used, this is when it basically started. This is the first time chemical warfare was really used, and it was a big deal at the time. It was a huge deal. The thing is, people basically didn't know what to do. There were gas masks. They had those, especially later on. At this stage in the war, gas masks do exist, so chlorine gas isn't as effective as it would have been, say, in 1914 to 1916, but still fairly effective. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone has standard issue gas masks. They don't have to go with the urine-soaked cloths anymore. Because, yes, that was a thing. And urine kind of cuts a lot of the power of chlorine. So that was, yeah, they quite literally soak cloths in their own urine. And use that. It was that or die. So naturally, you'd go for not die. Whenever those are your options, the choice is to not die. That's always the correct choice. And now I want to set this up. Machine gun. Yeah, setting up defensive emplacements, setting up a area where you actually have... You do want to fortify, you do want to get going, despite the fact that you see is a lot of trenches that have been built. These are old trenches from old battles in this area. They're all built up, they all exist. We can obviously build more trenches, you can build new trenches if we wish. But this is set at the end of the war, so we have tanks going around, which also very interesting, for those of you not aware, tanks in World War I, which may come up in this game, they are really expensive in this game for a very good reason, because tanks were not used very much. Tanks were massive, heavy things. Basically, they were, well, they were tanks, but in the sense of like, tanks of fuel, or tanks of, they're shipping containers in a sense, with guns attached to them. So they were quite powerful things, but they were also really expensive. They weren't really easily acquired, and they were very, very difficult to destroy. Like, the only reliable way to destroy them was basically from below, and that was suicide. Or at least back when trench warfare was more of a thing. If they drove over a trench, someone could throw a grenade up to them and destroy them. At least that's from what I gather. But yeah, that was very likely suicide. I seriously doubt that anyone actually survived doing that. Like, the explosion, I would imagine the explosion would end up causing everything to basically go. I should build a trench here. Anyway, I imagine that the explosion would, from the tank itself blowing up, would have probably killed a lot of people in the trench. Now, that doesn't really happen here. There's actually not a mechanic that exists in this game. And it may be that I'm mistaken about the exact history of that, or how that exactly worked. But yeah, it is definitely not something that really comes up here too much. I haven't really seen it come up in the Great War. Let's put barbed wire over here. Let's make it a little hard. Can't make it too easy for them to get around. Of course, this guy's got the stiff upper lip. The officer here, I keep these guys, or keep my guys from losing too much morale. They get suppressed. Can deal with that. Alright, we have the sapper company here, and I need you because I need you to make... Oh, come on. Okay, well, there's gotta be... I know I have infantry around here somewhere. Oh, my sappers are taking the fuel depot. Alright, get it over here, kill these guys. Actually, go over here first, and then go over here. And you guys go over here. Ah, that's where I wanted to see. Where's my officer? There we go. You guys are group 3. And you retreat. What am I thinking? You get out of there. I don't have enough. Do I have enough for command post yet? That's not what I want to hear. Okay, and give me a command post. My ammo dump. Oh, I'm out of fuel. That was rather poor. All right, and you guys, because most of the fuel is going to trenches. Trenches require quite a lot of fuel to build.
The initiative is ours. Victory countdown started.
But at the same time, I can take this. Where's... Okay, you guys are going... You guys take this. This is actually going a lot better than my last few games. And let's go for the Vimy Ridge tactics. Yeah, battle briefing is what I was talking about. That is the tactic I was talking about, making sure that everyone knows what's going on top to bottom. Very modern idea, very much unlike, like I said, the more classist ideas of old. No, wait, I want you to replenish. No, wait. What are you doing? Get out of there.
Reinforcements kitting out. Stand by.
Alright, there we go. That's what I wanted to see. Ah, shoot. Okay, you set up a nest here. Oh, right. Now someone want to know. Okay, I wanted a sapper because you can actually set up... Where's my sapper? You can set up forward command posts. I believe this is actually something that you could do back in Company of Heroes as the British. It's not entirely original, this, but yeah, you can set up outposts. Set up platoon outposts up front. That'll secure a sector, and that'll let you build units further afield, which is really handy. Especially since I'm probably going to lose some guys here if I'm not careful. Like, this area is kind of laid out because I want this area defended. I want this victory point to be nicely defended, make it difficult for the German forces to get through, so I can keep it. Okay, you guys fall back somewhat. Don't want you to get too much into combat. Actually, get this fuel dump. Get this fuel dump if you can. Get that fuel dump, and then we'll go from... Ah, there we go. Battle briefing. There we go. That should help out. Officers. 91st platoon. Ah, shoot. Okay. I believe the assault thing here is what you get for doing that. Break out that... Ah, shoot. I grabbed another victory point. When we get this fuel dump, that'll help quite a lot. Where is that? Do you have the platoon set up? Okay, where's... Ah, perfect. Okay, we have the platoon headquarters. That's great, because these guys are going to need to retreat. Get out of there! Oh, shoot, the lieutenant died. That's bad. Get another command section. I don't want lieutenant down. I want you to make a machine gun nest facing this way. And get this, set the machine gun nest is already set up to deal with this, so at least that'll work. I mean, it is still World War I, machine guns are still basically super weapons. So it's very important to point that out. Oh, that's steady men. Ah, shoot. They're into my trenches. They're right in my trenches, let's go for it. And if you notice there's an iron cross, yeah, this ability, I think it's a bit of a bug. This ability is actually one of the German stormtrooper abilities, and they also give it to British forces if you have that battle briefing tech. Or I think it's the battle briefing tech that does it. Let's just get the binars, get it plain. Let's see what's going on.
Germans are seizing territory.
Let me know what's happening on that line. There's that. Ah, they're seizing that as well? That's just perfect. Alright, well, we got the victory point here. I will need another machine gun. Actually, machine guns might be a little bit overkill. I'm not totally sure. Ah, shoot, they're breaking it. What the heck? They went behind the machine gun nest. Well, that's just perfect. That's exactly what I want to see. Okay, well, let these guys go first. Wait, what am I thinking? You guys reinforce you. And rifle grenades should probably help out. Alright.
Munitions depot is being overrun.
I can't get chemical shells. I can't afford that yet. I want to use that though, because those are useful. I did mention they're banned for a reason, but still, they're useful. There's no denying their usefulness. There's also no denying that they are currently, nowadays, using them as a war crime, which is definitely a good thing. It's very good that that is a war crime, but it is... The fact that it's a war crime is a rather new thing. Okay, let's keep going. Keep entrenching. And you guys get over here. Okay, which means I should also have officers and another infantry section. Why not? You guys are here. Join these guys. You are now Troop 1. Yeah, because there's victory points, I don't have to necessarily go all the way to the other side and kill everything, which is kind of nice. Need more manpower, though. Shoot. A good place to put this stuff, and then I will be able to put a machine gun nest in here. Oh yeah, I probably could use these too. Okay, another machine gun nest, and you guys here go up.
A victory point is being overrun.
No, it's not. Oh, actually, I guess it is. Shoot. You get under behind cover. So one thing I do find annoying about this is that these player-built trenches do not necessarily get the best pathfinding around them. You have to be kind of careful about how you set your units up so they actually go behind them and don't stay out of cover. It's rather annoying when that happens. Right, you guys, I want you build some of these traps. Build them along here. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the history of those is. If those are... It's kind of a basic trap idea, but I'm not sure what the history of those is as far as being used in combat. Attack here, suppressive fire. Oh, not bad. Oh, wow, that's a lot of units I'm gonna have to deal with. That is bad, I've got to deal with that. And why are you guys here? You guys should be over here dealing with these units. As we're building trenches all the way along here. Alright, so that is good. We're getting up to a few more victory points here. And I mean, no, I don't need that, I guess. Wait, where's my officer? I have an officer associated with this. You, go over here. See if we can get around the other side. It's starting to get larger armies. Wait, where's my mortar? Oh, I forgot to make my mortar. They don't have chemical shells yet. Actually, that was the thing I wanted to get. Chemical shells, get those. Get sappers. More manpower. Get behind here as well. Oh, crap. Well, I'm losing this position. That's not good. Okay, advance from this side. To you guys, since you can't... Oh, since you can't. Not really. Well, I can actually scout and then attack with that scout force. Because if I attack with... I need vision in order for this to work. In order for the strafing run to be something I can actually use. And it worked! Well, sort of. Because I am losing victory points. I am starting to fall behind quickly. This is not good.
Replacements are mustering now.
Okay, you get your stuff replaced. Oh wait, you're building here. Oh, it's hard to get good cover, but try to get good cover. Wait, why are you guys over here? What the heck? Alright. You guys, I want to go take this old trench. Use the old trench, go for stormtrooping assaults. Or stormtrooper style assaults. Throw all the grenades. Oh. There we go, that's what I wanted to see. It's cruel of me to say that, but that is what I wanted to see. Enemies everywhere. Call in more off-map support. Ah, crap, getting good cover. Wait, do I have the, there is a buff I can get that I don't have that I should get. That's a buff I totally need. Oh wait, you get out of here. No, that's not gonna give anyone a buff. Those rifle grenades, however, are being quite useful. You can capture the victory point, because we're actually falling behind in victory points. That's not good. I don't want to fall behind. I realize victory points are a little bit of an abstraction that are kind of ahistorical, but it seems to work okay. I do have chemical shells. Good. Oh, which reminds me, I actually can build howitzers. That's another thing I can do. I think I will. I can afford it too. Nice. Awesome. So I will get that, and that'll cover a couple of these. That's less good. It's much less good. I'm trying to build a howitzer emplacement here. Maybe I shouldn't build a howitzer emplacement here. Build a machine gun nest instead. Build the howitzer further back. I can shut off the chemical gas if I use that. Okay, that's ammunition. I don't want to necessarily use too much of that. Although, if I... Ah, shoot, it's over there. Oh, wait, no, I can get this one. Get that one, that should help at least a bit.
We have a victory point under attack.
Of course we do.
Ready for action! Advance on that point! Do what you can, mate!
Okay, victory points. We still maintain control over this. Actually, why are you not over here?
Lines are being threatened.
In fact, why are you not moving over here? My goodness. I realize this is a swamp, but still... Oh, shoot. I lost the north. Yeah, I guess we're not going to be building any of those for a little while. Get this mortar off into nice, good cover. At least that way I know what's going on. Okay, so we have observation plane, we have munitions. These are pioneers with poison. That's not a good sign. Do they have chlorine on hand? That would be bad. Okay, well, I don't have any tanks at the moment, so I don't see that that's useful. Probably be a thing to do eventually, though. And this is where machine gun nest should go. Behind the trenches. Okay, that's done. Get out of there. Where's that platoon? I should probably hotkey that too. Get this platoon in. Oh, need 280 manpower and done. 280 manpower. Okay. All right. Oops, I don't want two. I want you and this guy take him one again. Oh, shoot, that's a bad sign. Okay, move the machine gun further forward, we'll use that. It's less ideal, but it will work. Looks like they also have artillery nearby. It's good, not great. You can go for deep assault, try to cut off some of their supplies.
A sector is being overrun.
Okay, well if I wait until I get 200, I will get the bombing run. The bombing run takes 200 munitions, that is this right here, and a bit more experience. There we go, bombing run's available. That should be a greater use. Although it looks like they've gotten wise to it because they're going to do that. Still works! I am a terrible person. But that's what happens when you are commanding armies in a war. You become terrible people. Oh yeah, and you have stuff you could do. Oh, your machine gun. Never mind. Move up. You rebuild this. Oh wait, no, you get fuel. Yeah, you get fuel dump. Although ammunition is going to be more useful. Part of the game where ammunition becomes much more useful, so I want to make sure I don't run out of that. That's where I was getting artillery from. Howitzer right there. Speaking of which, I actually have enough to build a howitzer of my own. Which I will. So I might get some counter barraging going on. We'll see. And out that goes, and there we go. That's another, well, still winning, still ahead, still more territory. What other historical tidbits do I have? Not really sure. Nothing's really come up that's... I mean, most of the point of this isn't so much to get specific historical things. It's more getting the idea, getting the feeling of what it was like in World War I. Of the combat in World War I, which is not something that gets talked about a whole lot. It's not something that really comes up in media a lot, which is actually one of the things that made it hard to figure out what to do today for this stream. Because there aren't a lot of games in particular that deal with World War I. It's not a popular game, or popular time for games. I don't know why. I mean, it's... I kind of do know why, because it's not, you know, it's not as dynamic for a lot of it as, say, World War II was. There isn't a clear good versus evil. Although, admittedly, it's given the amount of love that people seem to have for steampunk. It's, I mean, it's not steampunk in the fantasy sense, but it is definitely that kind of time where there was a mix of like cannons, horses, jeeps, like a mix of medieval and modern technology used in combat. It was very specifically that time. Oh yeah, this is the howitzer I was looking for. Need to... I can assault that. I think I can assault that and deal a ton of damage. Throw all the grenades! Wait, what was the thing? Oh, shoot, these guys are pinned. Is there an officer around? Darn it, there's no officer around. Well, there's this officer around. But that, I think... Wait, what am I thinking? You can retreat. Get out of... Oh! That was my barbed wire! Great. That worked wonderfully. That was exactly what I wanted to happen when I built that barbed wire, was to have it... Oh. Darn it, retreat, get out of there. We've got him pinned. We got him cornered. Don't let up.
German forces are trying to secure one of
Oh,
our sectors.
and I have this. I can actually show off the chemical gas wherever... Where are German forces? Oh, it's over here. As far as some chemical gas over here. It'll take a little while for it to actually land, and I don't think my troops will be in range to see... Oh, especially since this is actually... That was not the best point to fire at. Although they are pinned and actually retreating to that point, but I don't think...
Have a victory point under attack.
Yeah, they're just slightly out of range. Oh well, and that takes like a minute and a half to fire again. Oh well, that's rather unfortunate. So they are pinned, and I have this. And that didn't actually do me much good. But hey, I have all the victory points, so at least I have that. And in case I ever get tanks this game, which I kind of doubt I will, but who knows, maybe I will.
We'll have them back to full strength shortly. Reinforcements kitting out. Stand by.
Alright, let's get all these guys in. All of you also get to first platoon. Oh, you're already in first platoon. Perfect. Alright, and you guys on one. Continue forward. Actually, I had raiders. That aren't doing much.
Unknown number of enemy
Yeah, so now we're getting into what I mentioned before. It's kind of more the defensive style of play. It's much more the, in a sense, World War II... Oh, no, sorry, World War I typical style of play. The thing that you expect, the trenchish... Not quite trench warfare, since the trenches have hardly been used. But still, the more defensive-oriented warfare. And, oh, great, my howitzer's under heavy fire. Is that far forward? Oh, shoot. That was a lot of resources that I spent on that one. Oh well, it's gonna be like 5-second clock. 4 seconds now. Alright, well, both howitzers were destroyed. So it kind of works out, but I never really got to show off the devastating power of chlorine gas. Though, like I said, at this stage in the war, and I win. At this stage in the war, people had gas masks. That was the thing people had. It wasn't something that... It wasn't like it was in 1914, 15, 16, where it wasn't as familiar. No, people knew what to do. They had the procedures. It was a little bit tricky for people who had beards, because at the time there was this British colonialism. They were trying to make sure that for people in India in particular, they were trying to be more palatable. So a lot of men grew beards, even though it wasn't the British style at the time. But it did get in the way of the gas masks. Made that really tough to use. I believe that fell out of favor around I think between World War I and World War II. The beard and mustache look. Because if you see old pictures, especially of officers in World War I, you have that really thick mustache that they all have, or a lot of them have. And that got in the way of gas masks. Though admittedly a lot of them were not even on the front line, so it didn't much matter in practice. But the ones that were on the front lines, yeah, it was a big deal. Big problem. Anyway, that aside, that was an instance of the Great War. I think, as far as I know, decently representative of the way World War I went. Definitely in terms of technology, in terms of... I mean, we didn't even have tanks fielded. Neither side had tanks even up to this point, which is not at all surprising. Even this late in the war, not at all surprising. And of course, we are just fighting over... I mean, this is supposed to be Flanders Fields circa 1918. And I can totally believe it. I mean, the amount of swamps, and clearly these areas were heavily bombarded. So it's just full of swamps because it's been raining and there's rivers around. Trenches everywhere. Massive craters they're building. Most of the stuff is not from this particular fight. It's already on the map. It's supposed to be representative from before. And that's a thing. I mean, there are scars in Europe from both World Wars that are still there to this day. Possibly more so World War I than II, but yeah, definitely... Big deal. and the trenches going through, and all the wooden planks in the trenches as well. Like, these are the well-established trenches. These are the 1916-ish trenches. The ones made when trench warfare was really a big thing. Before it got mobile again around 1918. Which is, of course, when this is representing, not back at 1914, 15, 16-ish. And of course, I've not been mentioning 1917, but that's probably, I think, still kind of the transition from trench warfare to mobile warfare again. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Hope it gave something of an idea, representation of what World War I combat was to some extent like, in as much as, especially from a top-down real-time strategy perspective, one can actually do. Hope that was informative and helped for remembering the sacrifices of our soldiers. Historically, for World War I, which is what Remembrance Day is about originally, and of later wars as well, but particularly World War I, which is where the tradition of Remembrance Day started, about 96 years ago now. Yeah, thank you for watching, and have a good night, everyone.